We're going to be looking at Mark chapter 1, verses 16 to 20. As Jesus walked beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw Simon and his brother Andrew casting a net into the lake, for they were fishermen. "Come, follow me," Jesus said, "and I will make you fishers of men." At once they left their nets and followed him. When he had gone a little farther, he saw James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John in a boat, preparing their nets. Without delay he called them, and they left their father Zebedee in the boat with the hired men and followed him. And that's quite an interesting passage, and you kind of need to go a little bit into the history of the Jewish culture to understand really how deeply significant that was. As children, Jewish boys would have to learn the Torah, the old, or the first 5 books of the Old Testament, and if they were able to learn, and if they were able to really do well, then they would be able to carry on with their education, and eventually there would be the chance that a rabbi or a teacher would choose them as a disciple and have them follow him and learn all his ways, with the hope that one day they would then become the teacher and kind of carry on in his footsteps, continue the legacy. And so there'd be a time in your life when, as a young child, you'd be learning the Torah and you'd be trying to get it right, and there'd be a time when the rabbi would sit down with you and encourage you to return and get involved in your family business. And it was a time of kind of broken hope for the parents, who it was such an honor to be picked, and so the moment when you know you're not picked, it's not a great thing. And for the children, it's the sense of failure, the sense of you're not good enough, you're not the best of the best, you're just going to be one of the crowd, and the most that you can ever hope for is to be a fisherman, or whatever it is, to be part of the family business. And so Jesus comes along as this rabbi, and he looks at fishermen who are kind of seen as the lowliest of the low, and he calls out to them and he says, "Come and follow me and be my disciples. Learn from my words, with the hope that one day you will carry them on." And so there's really 2 parts to that. The first part is these young people, because these kids wouldn't have been more than maybe 14 to 17 years old. They're young guys, teenagers, and they've had the rug pulled out from under them, and suddenly somebody comes and he replaces the dignity, and he says, "You are good enough. I see something in you that one day you can be good enough to follow me. You can be good enough to take this on." And so there's this great just pouring out of dignity and of value and of identity. And then the second story is the father, Zebedee, who he just loses 2 kids from the family business. And so there could be a sense of, is that loss? Is he angry? Has he lost out? And yet, if you understand the culture, you look at his face and you know that he's smiling, because his children were selected by the rabbi. They are good enough. That all the hope that was taken, all the loss, all the sadness, all the shame poured on the family, all that kind of thing has been taken away, because now his children are the chosen ones. They get to follow this new rabbi, this exciting rabbi that people have been starting to hear about as he preaches on the edge of the lake, and there's starting to be a stir, and suddenly those are my kids. My kids have been chosen. And so the choosing of the disciples is something that's easy to gloss over, and yet there's such powerful significance that Jesus chooses the least of these. God chooses to use those who are not seen as much by everyone else, and he chooses to elevate them, and in my kingdom, the lost will be first.